Congratulations! You just received an exclusive invite to test out Universal Studios' latest attraction, Jurassic Park. This is not just another ride at Universal Orlando. Jurassic Park is an entirely separate theme park located on an island near Costa Rica. This island contains actual dinosaurs, brought back from extinction due to several recent breakthroughs in genetics. The theme park needs a few lucky individuals, like you, to test out the rides. Together you'll provide the feedback they need to finalize the park before its grand opening. Just so you know, they are still working out a couple bugs with the security fencing and ironing out the details on their hurricane preparedness plan. But that shouldn't be an issue. Besides, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Are you gonna let some minor safety concerns scare you away from being one of the first visitors at a park full of dinosaurs? Heck no, you're signing that waiver and hopping on the first flight to Costa Rica. What's the worst that can happen?
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Here's my question to you. Do you think you'll survive your visit? Do you think those fences will hold up when the T-Rex comes barreling through like the Kool-Aid Man? You do? Well, you're wrong, and I'm here to tell you why. Like the characters in the movie Jurassic Park, you're going to face a wide range of unsurvivable situations during your visit. However, while they made it through the film due to plot holes and PG-13 protection, your trip won't be family friendly. To prove my point, I'm going to place you in various situations presented in the film and explain in painful detail why you wouldn't survive. In addition to covering this from the park visitor angle, I'll explore why you wouldn't fare any better as a park worker. I'm gonna hammer home from as many perspectives as possible why you wouldn't survive any type of association with Jurassic Park. Some of you are gonna die on the helicopter ride in. Some of you may make it to the end before you perish, but all of you are gonna end up as dino poop. Reason 1. You volunteered as gatekeeper. We started our analysis at the raptor paddock on the fictional island of Isla Nubla. The latest addition to the Jurassic horror show arrives via forklift where a small army of workers nervously await the game warden's next command. As the loading team is dispatched to push the raptor cage towards the paddock door, the raptor shrieks. In unison, the sphincter of every worker tightens to a degree never thought possible until today. The workers look at each other, puzzled as to why the theme park's most lethal attraction is not tranquilized. This is just one of the many questionable decisions made by the game warden. For instance, why is the raptor just now being transferred? Shouldn't this have happened at some point between cute baby raptor and full-blown killing machine? Also, what's with these taser sticks? Does he really believe these are going to do anything other than piss this thing off? The expertise exuded by the game warden's knee-high socks and dangerously short shorts is quickly being brought into question by the terrified workers. At this point, Joffrey, the unfortunate soul who has to open the gate, is heavily questioning why he volunteered for this role. At the time, he thought it would be a good way to jump a few rungs on the corporate ladder. However, this bullet point on his resume may come at a severe cost. The game warden calls his name and he dutifully climbs the ladder to open the gate. Joffrey deadlifts a very heavy sounding door with form that would make a physical therapist cry. My back hurts just watching. Best case, he's coming away from this with a slipped disc. With the gate open, the raptor rushes out the door, pushing the cage away from the paddock. This causes Joffrey to fall to the ground where the raptor drags him into the cage for a late night snack. The game warden gets his hand around Joffrey just in time, effectively starting a game of tug of war between himself and the raptor with Joffrey as the rope. The loading team runs up with their taser sticks, which predictably do nothing. It seems like an eternity before the warden finally authorizes the use of deadly force. By this point, Joffrey has probably lost both legs as well as his manhood. If I were him, I'd be yelling at the guards to shoot me instead. The gunshots go off, but it's too late. It's easy to criticize Joffrey's decision to volunteer, but let's look at this objectively. He was probably looking at a sweet bonus and an expedited path to promotion. He had tons of security guards around him, and who knew the raptor was going to cause a scene? I'm not saying you'd volunteer, but you probably know someone who would. And like Joffrey, that person would not survive. After this accident, one would think park leadership ownership would slow things down and take a second look at their security standards. However, that's not the founder's style.
Hammond hates inspections. They slow everything down.
Hammond's success comes from moving fast and never thinking twice. This was a speed bump for Hammond, who heads to Montana to recruit some paleontologists for a second opinion on park security. He introduces himself to doctors Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler as the main source of funding behind their digs. Skipping past the part about the guard being eaten alive, Hammond tells him he needs qualified experts to sign off on his new theme park. Who better than the best minds in paleontology and paleobotany? In hindsight, it probably would have been wise to pick their brains before he invested 5 years in construction, but it's better late than never. When they inquire about the nature of the park, he cryptically informs them it is right up their alley, and quickly adds that he didn't cut any corners in its construction.
Really spectacular, spared no expense.
Except for qualified advisors, redundancy, underpaid employees, competent geneticists, adequate security, appropriate weaponry, strong enough fences, high enough fences, automation, manual overrides, and many other aspects we'll cover in this review. They are skeptical at first, but sign on after Hammond tells them he'll fund their work for the next 3 years. In less than 24 hours, they're sitting in a helicopter on their way to the theme park. On the ride in, Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler meet 2 other individuals joining the evaluation. The lawyer, Mr. Gennaro, and Dr. Ian Malcolm. Played by Jeff Goldblum, Dr. Malcolm is a mathematician slash pickup artist interested in applying chaos theory to the park's evaluation. What is chaos theory, you ask? I don't know. I read the Wikipedia article 3 times and I still don't get it. Luckily for us, Dr. Malcolm has a simple example of chaos theory he'll share later in our review. Upon arriving at the visitor center, the group meets Tim and Lex, Hammond's grandkids. Along with the team of experts, they'll be going on the first ever test run of the most dangerous theme park ride ever designed. While it would be safer to test the ride with someone a little older and more resourceful, Hammond needs feedback from a younger demo. None of the locals are willing to sign their kids up for the test ride after the raptor incident, so Hammond figures he might as well use his grandchildren. The tour heads out and Hammond returns to the control room. Here we are introduced to Samuel Jackson, the park's chain-smoking chief engineer, and Dennis Nedry, the lead programmer. Dennis is your stereotypical coder slob. His arrogance is matched only by the number of candy wrappers and soda cans littering his desk.
You know anybody who can network 8 connection machines and debug 2 million lines of code for what I bid for this job? Because if you can, I'd love to see him try.
The only reason Hammond puts up with him is his ability to automate all features of the park, except for opening the Raptor Gate. That one didn't make it on the list. The tension between Dennis and Hammond is immediately apparent as Dennis claims he is underpaid and underappreciated for all he does. His challenge to Hammond's spare no expense mantra is interrupted by our South African game warden who yells at them to be quiet. The tour is approaching the first dinosaur exhibit, and reason number 2 why you wouldn't survive. They did it for the gram. The first exhibit features the Dilophosaurus, a carnivorous hunter. This dinosaur spits poisonous venom that blinds and paralyzes its prey. Good thing there are clear instructions to keep the windows up. I'm sure everyone will follow those rules, just like they keep their arms inside the roller coaster at all times. The park designers have way too much faith in visitors to follow those instructions. My guess is it takes less than 50 rides before someone rolls down that window for an Insta selfie and gets their fellow passengers blinded for life. While I anticipate most of you would be smart enough to keep the windows up, there would be some who would inevitably not follow instructions. You know, the ones who disengage the bar on the roller coaster and get decapitated. Unfortunately for some of you smart ones, you will have one of these dummies in your vehicle. Their reckless behavior will put your life in danger and likely end in a horrific accident that results in you being spoon-fed yogurt the rest of your life. The second exhibit on the tour is the T-Rex paddock. Like CinemaSins commented, I don't understand why this is the second stop on the ride. This is like putting Splash Mountain at the entrance of the Magic Kingdom. Anyone who's played Roller Coaster Tycoon knows you save the good stuff for the end of the park. Like the Dilophosaurus, the T-Rex is a little shy and needs some tempting to come out and play. Jackson tries to lure the T-Rex to the gate with some fresh meat, but fails to bring this reclusive dino out from hiding. The tour is now 0 for 2. Hopefully the Triceratops is out. Reason 3. You got out of the car. The ride continues with Ian running hardcore game on Ellie.
And then I go too fast. I did a flyby.
Is Neil Strauss taking notes? Dr. Malcolm puts mystery to shame. This AMOG is working in HB8 with the classic chaos theory routine. At this rate, they'll be banging in the back of the Explorer before the ride even makes it back to the visitor center. Dr. Grant, who can't take seeing his lover stolen by the sex god, sees a sick Triceratops and uses it as his excuse to leave. Yep, he just leaves the car and walks into the exhibit. There are no locks on the doors. I get this guy is a paleontologist, but the decision to exit the vehicle and walk into the killing fields of Jurassic Park borders on reckless. Who knows what else is lurking around that exhibit? Did the thought ever cross his mind that this Triceratops may share its environment with another prehistoric monster? He is either stupid or crazy. What's worse is the entire group, including the young children, follow him in. Paleontologist or not, if you leave the ride and wander into the killing fields of Jurassic Park, you're not going to survive your visit. Back at the command center, another reason for delaying the grand opening is added to the list.
Told you how many times we needed locking mechanisms on the vehicle doors.
Yeah, that should have been prioritized above the infotainment system. Also, where are we with reinforcing the Tiki toilet hut?
Item 151 on today's glitch list.
Okay, can we move that up? I mean, that thing is right next to the T-Rex fence. What if a dino gets loose while people are taking a shit? Come on, guys, get your priorities straight. The group spends some quality time with the Triceratops before being recalled to their vehicles due to an approaching storm. On the way back to the visitor center, their vehicles suddenly stop right next to the T-Rex paddock. Probably just a minor hiccup. Dr. Malcolm uses the time to inquire about Ellie's availability while the kids and the lawyer check out all the cool gizmos in the back of the truck. At the command center, everything is starting to fail. The one person they need right now is Dennis Nedry. Unfortunately, he's busy making his way to the departing ship with some stolen dino DNA. This brings us to reason number 4 why you wouldn't survive. Hammond did spare some expenses. It turns out Hammond cheaped out on a lot of things, like hiring a trustworthy lead programmer. This set in motion a series of events, including the unarming of the park's security fences. The T-Rex, who thinks his appetizer of live goat is being followed by an entree of human, breaks through the unarmed fence. It starts ripping through the vehicle containing the grandchildren. In an effort to save the kids, Grant gets his attention with a flare. He starts to lure it away when Dr. Ian Malcolm lights a second flare, taking us to reason number 5 why you wouldn't survive. Chaos theory. Right as it appears Dr. Grant has successfully distracted the T-Rex, Dr. Malcolm gives us a masterclass in chaos. He shows us that a small change at the outset of an event, such as lighting another flare to re-engage the T-Rex, can have massive effects on the outcome, such as a T-Rex eating someone while they're taking a number 2. I don't know about you, but I think I finally understand the theory. Reason number 6. False dino facts. Dr. Grant is able to make his way through the chaos and comes to the rescue of the grandchildren. As he pulls Lex out of the vehicle, they come face to face with the T-Rex. Dr. Grant whispers to remain still as they can only see movement.
Don't move. Can't see us if we don't move.
This is false. The T-Rex had great vision and a good sense of smell. If you had been in this situation, your story would have come to an end as you joined the lawyer in the belly of this beast. Luckily for Lex and Dr. Grant, the movie studio wanted a PG-13 rating, so some false dino facts like this one were introduced to ensure their survival. Reason 7. No friction. Grant's continued efforts to rescue the grandkids force him onto a ledge where he decides to down climb part of the broken dino fence. While the T-Rex attack had some inaccuracies, this scene is straight up fiction. There is no way Grant is safely getting down that ledge while Lex chokes him out. If any of you have done the Tough Mudder, you know what I'm talking about. There will be zero friction between his wet, muddy hands and the slick wire. At best, he's shooting down that coiled metal on his way to shatter both ankles. At worst, well, you know what happens. Gravity happens. Only a few of you are truly gonna make it past this point. I know I wouldn't, In fact, I already died back at the Dilophosaurus exhibit trying to snap a pic for my dating profile. Unless you have some next-gen climbing gear, you're not going to survive this dino fence down climb. Reason number 8. You crossed Old Man Hammond. While Grant and Lex are hanging out, Dennis is furiously driving to the dock to deliver the stolen dino DNA. I'm going to skip past his mistakes of reckless driving, leaving the door open, and underestimating the Dilophosaurus because I think most of these are avoidable. I have no doubt some of you would make it to the ship, get your reward, and start planning how you're going to spend all your money. Your demise would come from your former employer, Hammond. He didn't get to the top of the theme park industry without getting his hands dirty. I'd bet my left nut this guy's made some people disappear. Odds are, his flip phone has more than one number listed under wet work. Hammond would figure out what you did, and boy would you pay for it. If you're like Nedry and think you can pull one over on Old Man Hammond, you're not going to survive. You're going to be found a week later having died from an apparent chocolate overdose. Reason 9. Jurassic Tree Climb. After Dr. Grant uses his superhuman grip strength to successfully get Lex to the bottom of the ravine, he looks up at his next task. This one seems equally daunting. Tim is stuck in the Explorer, which is wedged into branches high up in a tree. Grant climbs 4 stories of prehistoric branches to help Tim down climb. I assume most of you have climbed a tree at some point. If you remember, climbing up is way easier than climbing down, especially when down climbing slick mossy branches. Tim and Grant start on their way down, carefully navigating the slippery tree. If it wasn't hard enough, the Ford Explorer decides it also wants out of the tree and comes chasing after them. The two set several Guinness World Records as they harness their inner primate and climb down the tree like a pair of gymnasts. They hit the ground and quickly move to the exact spot where they aren't crushed by a 4-ton truck. Now, I don't do one-size-fits-all analyses. I know some of you actually have what it takes to survive this situation. However, a much larger percentage of you know you would have slipped on your way down. A fall from that height, and you better hope you die on impact. The alternative of several shattered bones won't seem too appealing when you're being eaten alive by any number of Jurassic predators looking for an easy dinner. The Jurassic Tree Climb is reason number 9 why you wouldn't make it. At the command center, Hammond and Jackson have a potential fix to all the problems caused by Nedry's malicious code. Theoretically, if they shut down power to the entire park, count to 3, and then turn it back on, all systems should return to their normal operating status. Nicely done, gentlemen. Your genius solution is a theme park equivalent of unplugging a PC during the blue screen of death. While Jackson remains skeptical, they do it anyway. After a nervous few seconds, one of the systems boots up. It appears to have worked, at least partially. Jackson explains they need to manually turn on all the breakers. Where are those again, Jackson?
Maintenance here, the other end of the compound.
Right, just at the other end of the park. The park full of violent predators. I can't see that being difficult. Good luck. Reason 10. Poorly planned park layout. When Jackson doesn't return for some time, Ellie and Muldoon head out to see what is taking so long. They drive across the park, arriving at the power station. In a spectacular failure of park planning, someone decided to place the power station right next to the deadliest attraction, the raptor paddock. They glance up and notice the raptors have escaped the fencing. It doesn't take long before Muldoon spots one. He tells Ellie to go get the power back on while he buys her some time. Unfortunately, his years of experience hunting the most dangerous game are no match for a pack of the smartest Jurassic predators. Just as he is ready to take a shot at one, he realizes it was a trap.
Clever girl.
Muldoon, like any unfortunate hero who volunteers to restore power, will not be on the helicopter ride home due to a poorly planned park layout. While Muldoon is getting mauled by raptors, Ellie's made her way down to the power breakers and starts flipping them on one by one. These breakers should restore power to all systems, including the electric fences. Coincidentally, these are the same fences being scaled by Dr. Grant, Lex, and Tim. Reason 11. More like 10 million volts. Grant, Lex, and Tim work their way through the park and are now one perimeter fence away from making it back to the visitor center. While Grant and Lex quickly make it to the other side, Tim is still climbing when it comes back online. The 10,000 volt shock sends him flying into Grant's arms. Lucky for him, 10,000 volts isn't that much and he regains consciousness after some CPR. The average police taser has 50,000 volts, 5 times the power of that fence. So either the fence containing a T-Rex has less shock than a police taser, or a worker mislabeled the sign. While it is entirely possible the park planners F this up as well, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and assume someone forgot a few zeros on the sign. Any dinosaur fence expert worth his salt knows a shock of at least 10 million volts would be necessary to keep the dinosaurs at bay. If this had been the case, little Timmy or anyone else on the fence wouldn't survive. At 10 million volts, this scene would have looked more like this. If you attempt to climb an electric fence strong enough to keep T-Rex at bay, you better be on the other side when the power kicks back on. No amount of CPR is going to save you after a 10 million volt shock lights your skin on fire. Reason 12. You didn't lock the front door. Dr. Grant, Tim, and Lex make it back to the visitor center where they find no one home. Grant takes them to the dining room where he promises they'll be safe. When Tim asks if they should lock the door, Grant chuckles and assures him dinosaurs can't open doors. For someone who studies dinosaurs, Grant doesn't have much respect for their intelligence. Why not lock and barricade the door in the off chance a raptor learns how to move a lever up and down? If you're careless enough not to lock the front door, you're gonna end up as a footnote in some future book about raptor problem-solving skills. The survivors reunite in the control room where the raptor siege continues. Grant braces the door with Ellie running right past his shotgun to help him out. There's a reason why these two are out in the desert digging up dinosaur bones. They're not that great at thinking on their feet. Grant tries to lock the control room but realizes there's no manual way to do this. They must execute the door lock code on the computer. Good thing Lex is a programming genius.
It's a Unix system.
She navigates her way through something that looks more like a video game than a file system and eventually hits the right button to lock the doors. This buys the group enough time to make their way to the lobby through a conveniently oversized ventilation shaft. They downclimb the T-Rex skeleton to find the raptors waiting for them on the lobby floor. This brings us to the last reason you wouldn't survive. How did the T-Rex get in there? Just when it seems like there's no hope, the T-Rex shows up and attacks the raptors, allowing the group to escape. This is another part of the movie I have a hard time accepting. How did he get in there? Unless they have a T-Rex sized door, this guy's gonna be peering in from the outside, watching those raptors tear the group to pieces. However, this convenient plot element allows the group to escape outside where Hammond is waiting with a Jeep. He drives them to an awaiting Seabreeze 2000 and the group finally makes it off the island. That concludes our review. If you still think you made it, you're either possessed by the spirit of Steve Irwin or Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. I hope you liked my glass half empty analysis of why you wouldn't survive Jurassic Park. If you'd like me to expand on your inability to survive other movie scenarios, please consider subscribing, as it helps me make more videos. Also, if you have ideas for movies I should cover, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember to live life to the fullest. If you're stupid enough to volunteer as a test dummy at Jurassic Park, you're not gonna make it.
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.